want to share a story to kind of bring tenderness alive, not as a concept, but as an affective quality we can cultivate to meet this moment. So I have a son. He is 7.5, and a few weeks ago, I was driving to pick him up from aftercare. And the night before, I had just gotten news that my beloved auntie, who practically raised me, who was in hospice, was being taken off fluids. And as I was driving to get my son, I started crying, not dramatic sobbing, but that kind of quiet grief of anticipatory loss. And when I pulled up at my son's school and he got in the car, he asked me a couple questions about my auntie. He knew about this, but most of the focus was on his haircut. We were headed to Sports Clips, and he's at this tender age, 7.5. It's like he wants to be a big boy. He wants to be independent, but he still wants mom. And so we're in the car, and he's telling me about the haircut he wants. He wants a low-tapered fade with fringe, very specific, very serious, very 7. So we get to Sports Clips, and there's only one seat there. And I ask him if he wants to sit in my lap. And he says no, because he's a big boy. But instead, he puts his whole body on me and leans on my chest, which is basically sitting in my lap without admitting it. And I held my hand out, and he grabbed it. And I started breathing him in. I started smelling his sweaty head from all those hours of, Foursquare, Gaga Ball, basketball. And for about 10 minutes, I just breathed him in. And I share that because the more moments I slow down, soften, open, widen, the more I'm actually living my life. And this is so important because there is so much suffering and violence and grief in the world right now. And tenderness helps us to not forget that when one is impacted, we are all impacted. It's an invitation to not go numb. And when we get overly heady and strategic, and strategy is important, I'm not saying it's not, but sometimes we can lose the human side of things. That motivation that inspired us to walk this path of being educators. I think we're all here because in some small way, we're called to change the world. But that motivation comes from feeling deeply and staying awake. So the more we grow tenderness in the small moments and in the big moments, we have the capacity to meet this wider, complicated moment that we're in. And if I'm being honest, when I usually take my son to get a haircut, I get him set up and I squeeze in some work emails. You know the drill. Many of you are working parents. But that day, I didn't. I stayed. I melted. I watched him get his low-tapered fade with fringe, and he was so proud. And probably because I was open, and one of the magical things about tenderness is that there's a sense of timelessness that comes with it. Time slows down when we're tender. And because I was in touch with this openness, this tenderness, one of our favorite songs came on in the car, Dynamite, BTS. And we started singing and laughing and car dancing at the top of our lungs. And we had so much fun. And for me, this is tenderness. It's helping us hold the paradox, the grief, the anticipatory loss of my auntie, alongside the joy and the preciousness of smelling my son's sweaty hair and dancing in the car. It's being able to touch the fragility of life and the beauty of life, the sorrows and the joys in the same day, in the same hour, and even in the same breath.